All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Here's what we did in U.S. Studies today. It's Friday, February 2nd. All right. So just make sure you have your notebook set up. The next 2 pages looks like this in case you either were gone on Thursday or didn't have enough time Thursday to get it set up. But that's what your notebook needs to look like. So go ahead and pause the video here and make sure that you have all of that done. All right, good. So you'll notice that the squares for each section are the problems, and these are really similar to chapter 16 stuff. But you just read through the section and identify the problems that the progressives are looking at. The next space over is the rectangle with the rounded corners. Those are the progressive solutions. These are the things that progressives wanted to get done to fix the problems from the square boxes. Not what they actually did get done, but what they were hoping to get done. And then when you move over to the right, one more to the enacted reform in the oval, those are the things that they actually did get done. They are laws that were passed or committees that were put together or new things that were brought about because of the progressives trying to get done, trying to fix the problems that were in America around 1900. Don't worry about the grades yet. We will tackle that next week a little bit more together and kind of systematically. Okay, so from section 3, if you should have read that by now, and if you haven't, maybe pause and take a look at it to get all that. But the problems that the progressives identify are, and this is straight from chapter 16, poor living conditions. We looked at the tenements. They were nasty. There was a lot of garbage in the streets, and we saw pictures of that. Children were working instead of going to school. You know all about child labor. There was unfair treatment in the justice system, and that's basically directed at kids. If kids make a mistake and do something illegal, kind of regardless of their age, they're going to be treated like adults, and that's a problem because you probably shouldn't treat a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old or even a 14-year-old like an adult when it comes to making mistakes. And there were also dangerous work conditions in the factories, and we know all about that as well. What the progressives wanted to get done is these are all pretty, they're pretty basic, they're pretty common sense. They wanted to provide safer housing. They wanted to make cities cleaner. They wanted to keep kids out of the factories and put them into schools. They wanted to improve our justice system so it was more fair, and they wanted to provide safer working conditions. So we look back at this slide, those go hand in hand with the problems. They want to get rid of these things, so this is what they want to do. Now, what they actually get done is in the oval, and these are the things that actually happen. The Tenement House Act of 1901 is passed. That law says that all new tenements have to have toilets in every apartment, and each building has to have a courtyard. And the courtyard is going to allow all of the interior rooms in the apartments to also have windows, because what we want to do is get fresh air into all the rooms in the tenements. What makes the tenements so deadly is that there's no new air introduced into those spaces. It's stagnant, disease-filled air. There's typhoid, there's tuberculosis, all kinds of nasty diseases that are just hanging out in the air, and without exchanging that bad air for good air, it'll never go away. So they pass a law saying that each tenement has to have a courtyard in the middle so every room can have a window so you can get fresh air into those tenements and hopefully get rid of the disease, and that helps quite a bit. We'll also have city trash collectors, and these are the white wings. They're in your textbook. That big picture to start the chapter is the picture of the white wings. If you remember the video I showed on Monday, it was the guy in a white suit on a white horse leading a bunch of guys in white suits sweeping up the streets. That's the white wings. They're really successful in New York in cleaning up the streets. It reduces deaths by disease, and it improves the water quality, and other cities take notice of this and adopt similar things very quickly. We're going to start passing child labor laws restricting how old kids can be before they go to work, how long they can work, those kinds of things. It's still not like it is today, but we're starting there. More importantly, we have the National Child Labor Committee. It's a group of people who are going to investigate around the country how many kids are actually working in factories or working in mines or working on farms, whatever it is. And they're going to find out that indeed it is a very large number, and that'll be kind of what spurs us to do more going forward. We're going to create new high schools. If we want kids out of the factories and in schools, we better have schools for them. So the progressive era is when we see just tons of new high schools being opened all over the country, including here in Ankeny. They open a high school in Ankeny, not necessarily because Ankeny kids are working in factories, but the idea is that education is going to be the key to our democracy. So Ankeny is actually going to have its first high school open, I believe, in 1912. We're going to establish a juvenile justice system that starts dealing with kids differently than adults when it comes to crimes. You wouldn't want to, I don't think, put a kid in prison for a decade for stealing bread when he was hungry. Whereas with an adult, you might, because an adult should know better. Kids are, can tend to be impulsive, so they might not warrant such a harsh punishment. You're also going to limit the number of hours for women. And this sounds a little sexist today, but back then it made perfect sense because women were back then really responsible for raising the kids and for keeping the house and doing the cooking and the cleaning and all of that. So the idea was to give them more time to do that, or at least give them some time for themselves, because they have all of those other duties, that they're going to limit the amount of time that they can spend working. And then finally, workers' compensation laws. These are laws that just say if you get hurt at work, your work will continue to pay you, or if you're killed at work, your work will pay your family some money to help offset the loss of your income. Before we have workers' compensation laws, if you get hurt at work, or you miss work, or you get killed at work, there's no guarantee that your business, your company will pay anything. And this now makes it required. So that's a big step forward as well in helping to protect workers. So that's section 3. You need to go on and read sections 4 and 5 and take notes similarly. We'll do that in class on Monday as we prepare for our assessment in the middle of next week. Also be ready to take a multiple choice quiz at the formative quiz, not for a grade, formative quiz at the end of class on Monday. Again, though, if you get a 9 or a 10, you can accept that as your grade. So hope you have a good weekend. Thanks.